Welcome to the Bucky call for May 7th and 8th, Mother's Day. We've had an email from Kelly saying that he has some therapy going on last week and today. Next week, he'll be out of therapy. He figures he'll be back next week at about 70%. So looking forward to that. Anne sent an email saying that she got caught in a Mother's Day lunch, and so she won't be here. And I imagine a lot of people are caught in Mother's Day lunches. And then Joe sent an email saying that he would be late today. It's Saturday night for him. It's 11 o'clock Saturday night for him. I think same time as you, right, Nelson? If Roffers showed up, it's the same time zone as Roffers, I think. Or you're
Yes.
Central time.
Yes, Rafael is he is in Colombia. Yes, it's the same
So,
time.
same time as you. So you guys are Central time for me. I'm Mountain time. Susan's in Pacific time, so she's an hour earlier. So Susan, me, you, and then 5 a.m. in Africa is Manu on the lurch. Okay, good. So this is crazy. So Nelson, how are you feeling and what do you expect out of today?
Thank you, Steve. I am feeling good. Thank you for this call. My expect today is to learn more about natural order according Bucky. That's my feel and my expect. Susan, what do you feel and what do you expect?
I am happy to be catching all of you, and I really would like to learn about application of, and I think natural order, Nelson, was a great way to put it. And to me, this is kind of the bigger framework to where we can start putting in cosmic accounting. And I know Manu is always super good at applications. So I look forward to that. Manu, how do you feel and what would you like to get out of today?
I feel good. I feel grateful. I'm happy also that we are here, that we are learning. What I expect is also really application guiding my life into shaping my environment. I wouldn't say in accordance, in pursuit of these principles. That's the way that's what I expect. Steve, how do you feel? What do you expect?
Thank you. Raffers just clicked in. I expected him to be up in time to give his share, but I'm delighted to be here too. I'm always very impressed with the thought process that Bucky's going through in order to establish his hierarchies. And today we're going to be talking more about those. We're working on 1056.20, where Bucky breaks all these hierarchies down into formulas. And what I'd like to do is kind of share, and because this is like part 3, I'd like to give everybody kind of an overview of what's going on. So we first of all, a few weeks ago, talked about 1056 Synergetics, section 1056.10, where Bucky goes through and gives us some definitions. These same definitions repeat in the first part of 1056.20. So we're talking about cosmic integrity, synergy. We're talking about nature and all that's unknown, all that's known. Or let me see. Maybe I should zoom in a little bit closer so that I'm not saying it wrong. Okay, yeah, so whoops, synergy, nature, then unknown, and then universe. And that little deal is out of whack. That should be up there. So those are kind of the same. This is 1056, and this is 1056.10, 1056.20. Hang on, we got a couple people coming in right now. Oh, it's Raffers trying to come in twice. So yeah, and so we started there. Now this whole thing is 1056.20. And so if we come down and take a look at the next page here, basically these two sections are the same and this section is unique. But what's interesting is Bucky takes all the red stuff and puts it into this formula down here at the very bottom. So it's kind of interesting. We have this sphere of inclusions at the top that he goes into detail. He leaves these out and then takes these together with these and creates this little formula bar. And then he leaves all this stuff out. And it's kind of interesting to see how he did that and why he did that. And then we did this stuff on April 9th. We did this on April 23rd. We had Easter in between there. And then we did this on May 30th. And so today we're gonna go right here. This is where we're starting out today. But as we do this, we're going to be building this little formula here. Somehow these are the interrelationships that Bucky thought were so critical for us to understand the sphere of inclusion. And we're going to talk more about that. So that's what we're talking about tonight. And if we get enough going, we're going to hit the bottom of this thing by then. There's a couple more things I want to share with you. And that is that this is what we did a couple weeks ago. This is what we did on May 30th to May 1st. And these are these sphere, he calls it sphere of inclusion, not multiple spheres, one sphere, sphere of inclusion, not inclusions, but inclusion. This is a sphere of inclusion. And so, you know, I keep thinking this is hierarchy, like this, and then this, and then this, and then this. And it appears that it's all the same thing, maybe. I'm kind of open for what do you see when you get this idea that this is a sphere of inclusion? It starts at 38 and goes all the way down to 1. When it gets to 1, by the way, there have been 18 me's involved in that. So interesting. Here's me down here. But this is only one me. There are 18 me's. And if we get there tonight, we're going to be lucky. What do you think Bucky means by sphere of inclusion, and then goes to list all of the stuff?
I think he's setting an outer boundary. So by definition, everything that comes after that title is within the boundary.
Yeah. It's interesting. He said these are comprehensively embracing and permeating generalizations of generalization. So I think the comprehensively embracing kind of represents that boundary kind of idea. We're going to embrace all this, but every one of these are permeating. I mean, as we considered synergy in relationship to cosmic integrity, it seems that they permeate each other and embrace each other. Same with nature. How do you separate synergy from nature? It's an all-embracing kind of strategy. Then as it starts moving down, it gets a little bit more obscure for me. And like to think that my known that somehow what is known includes unknown, and what is unknown includes known. This is a little bit harder for me to comprehend. And then I see these things down here. Let's take a look at these a little bit closer, because this is where we went into, on May 30th to May 1st, we went into metaphysical and physical. We talked about some kind of duality there, you know? And here comes Joe. And then we talked about synergy and entropy. That seems to be some kind of duality. But again, this is all a description of a sphere of inclusion. And then to me, it gets a little bit more cryptic, because here's astrophysics. Well, astrophysics does include solar systems, plural. And then solar systems do include planetary systems, not just the Earth, but planetary system in general. And then biologicals, planetary biosphere ecology. And, you know, the moons on Saturn have a biosphere. So somehow this is all a description of a sphere of inclusion. And what do you think this means here? Generalization of generalization, GG to the power of N. And it looks like that GG is the symbol and the power of N is running down here. I don't know. I just noticed these things and thought that it's worth pondering. Any comments or questions on anything I've just said? Manu, you understand the math, and Joe's just come on the line. He kind of understands the math. I mean, what do you think GG? GG obviously stands for generalizations of generalization, which to me, yeah, I would put it backwards. I would say generalization of generalizations, plural, but no, this is generalizations of generalization as one word, a hyphenated concept.
Okay,
GG.
let me just share something. It's just something that I'm putting on the table for us
Okay.
to just show that, I just want to show you something on my, just like this.
Okay, well, let's stop sharing and let's take a look at your, I'm gonna do what I can to pin you to the front here. Go ahead.
Look at this. You see my fingers?
Yes.
They are holding the vertices of a tetrahedron.
Yeah.
You see that is a tetrahedron.
Right.
Okay.
It's a double
Yes,
tetrahedron.
where if you look where my fingers, my four
Oh,
fingers
I
are,
see. All right. You're holding one of the tetrahedron of a double tetrahedron.
yes.
Yes.
Now the other one comes across.
Yes.
Okay. So is another tetrahedron here.
Yes.
I think this is what you call permeating of two
Yeah.
tetrahedron.
Permeating. Right.
Yeah, it is spherical.
Mm-hmm.
And all embracing.
Yes. I have the impression that's what it means.
I like that. And you're right. Even though we see tetrahedra pointing out of that thing, like a star tetrahedron, a Merkaba, actually that is spherical.
Yeah.
And that representation shows edges and focal points when actuality, we would just see a giant sphere and we'd have to look inside to see all those parts.
Yes. And most importantly, it is the two embraces precessively, perpendicularly. You have lines that cut across all the time. You get what I'm trying to say?
I
And
do.
that is, yes, they cut across all the time. That is, for example, what manifests in our physical world as electromagnetism. The electricity and the magnetism, they are always dancing and coming across like that all the time.
Beautiful. Comments, questions? I want to show, please somebody comment and question. Please. Bernie, please. Yes, Joe, you're here.
I can see the Merkaba. That's I'm gonna pass to Nelson.
Nelson, do you have something you want to say?
No.
I want to reinforce what Nelson, hang on to your thought. I want to reinforce what Manu just said. That star tetrahedron, the Merkaba, the double tetrahedron that he showed,
Yes.
is as actually this guy here. That's it.
Yes.
Oh, I remember that.
And if Manu could have showed this in his hands, if he could have held this up in his hands, he would have held it up and it would have been squishing and pulsing and it would have been embracing. There would have been boundaries and there would have been permeating inclusion, right?
Yes. So how do you put that in a formula? There is a generalization of generalizations that conjugate. I will use the verb conjugated.
Aha.
That is multiplying exponentially, conjugated.
And that is part of the formula. It's GG to the power of N. It's not GG times N or GG plus N, it's GG to the power of N. Okay, other comments or questions? All right, cool. Well, that was kind of, that's one thing. Okay, so while there are some apparent dualities, I think that, you know, it's part of the discussion. That's yet to be pondered, right?
Yeah.
And so in pondering, then we can now move on to here he calls him embracing and permeating generalizations of generalization. In the first part, the title's a little bit different for part one. And I can't, let me see, I got it over here. Part one is cosmic hierarchy,
Oh, yeah.
comprehensively embracing generalizations. That's what he's talked about here. When he builds the chart, it's this title, comprehensively embracing and permeating generalizations of generalization, GG to the power of N. So there we
I'd
go.
like to make a comment at this point, you know,
Please.
just a precision. I suggest that he's always talking about relations.
Right.
It's not that you have a generalization of the earth, for example. No, you have a generalization of the relationship of the earth with regard to its moon.
Yes.
It is that I was talking about.
Right.
Yeah. So
There's
we have to always have that in mind, that it is a generalization of relationships and
Yeah.
interrelationships.
And I like the word interrelationships. For me, that really turns my brain on because I'm so narcissistic. When I think relationship, I think of me in relationship to something else. But when all of a sudden I get to ponder interrelationship, I'm more open to that duality. And while there definitely seems to be something dual about metaphysical and physical, where in cosmic integrity in the universe is there not metaphysical? Right?
Let me bring another conundrum.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, the earth. We have the crust, the mantle, to the core.
Right.
We know that the siege of the ferromagnetism is in the core, right?
Okay.
Now, in that embracing, which is in which in which is the core in the crust, or is the crust in the core? Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yes, I do. And you're even blaming you're even blaming the core for the electromagnetic field around the earth, right?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about relationship. So we should understand that that's subtlety. It is always the relationship, and always the relationship that is actual fact precessive, that it is a whole that is more than each of a component added together.
Comments, questions? So I would like to show you, this is the electromagnetic field around the earth. That electromagnetic field is created because there is a liquid core inside the earth. This does not exist without that, and that does not exist without this. They come together.
Exactly.
Right.
Now here's a beautiful thing. Because the earth has an electromagnetic field, we survive solar influences.
Yes.
Because the electromagnetic field actually shields and directs that solar energy that actually makes Mars not livable. Our electromagnetic field shields it. Now, this is really interesting to me because the Native Americans say that the universe, that the earth was created because grandmother spider spun a web. Does that look like a spider to you? Holy mackerel. And of course, there's more to it than that because, like, you know, the Starship. No, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
jeez. Oh, God. Oh, my God.
Okay. But I think it's really, this whole concept of interrelationship. And my brain wants to say, well, there's this and there's that, and I figure a way to put it together. But the truth of it is, it does not exist without the other thing. It is a giant sphere of inclusion. Comments, questions? Okay, Raffers is finally making it in here. That's kind of fun. Okay, so let's continue with our handout. Let me see if there's anything else. This is kind of my review. I wanted to talk about, while there is a duality here, there's more than just a duality. There's a duality, and we can get distracted by that. We can say, oh, there's syntropy and entropy, but syntropy is everywhere in cosmic integrity, and entropy is everywhere in cosmic integrity. So it is embracing and permeating all of these concepts. Comments, questions? Okay, so here we go for tonight. This is our reading for tonight. Any other comments or questions? Joe, how are you feeling? Do you want to read tonight, my friend?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, good. Tonight's going to be really simple. Just read a number. We'll talk about them and move on.
Let me also just make a comment.
Please.
Before we read. So imagine a world where there is no limit in reduced dimension. Let's just say a world where there are two dimensions that are perpendicular like this. And then there is a beam that is directed in one direction infinitely. You can ride it to wherever, I don't know where it goes. And another one that is beam perpendicularly coming across that one. Also going to oblivion. But what will result at the intersection of those two?
At the intersection of those two. You know, Einstein said that if I start out here in the universe and go straight ahead, eventually I'll bump into myself.
But
Because
something
universe
very
is true.
simple.
Go ahead.
Something very simple.
What's very simple?
What will result at the intersection of the two is finiteness
Okay.
Yes.
from infinity. The fact that there is a relationship between the two creates finiteness.
Creates finiteness.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is a manifestation of a form of something that is finite at the intersection of two things that are infinite, that are not form.
Yeah. Interesting.
Okay.
Comments, questions? So, Manu, I'm going to play off of that because I think something is important here. And let me see, maybe there's a better, I'll bring this up because I don't want us to wait forever with different kind of, let me see, can I find another one really quickly? First of all, I'll show an example of this electromagnetism that you talked about. Okay, here's a really good example. Well, I think I can use this one instead. Okay, good. So, great. Pardon me as I push my buttons. All right, first I want to show an example of the electromagnetism, the apparent duality of electromagnetism that Manu reflected upon. There's an apparent duality here. And of course, this is a 720 degree phenomenon, right? 360 degrees across the yellow plane plus 360 degrees across the blue plane. We're at 720 degrees when it comes to electromagnetism. And I particularly like this graphic because it shows the torus. The torus, remember that squishy thing that I showed you a few seconds ago, going up and down?
Yes.
This guy here, there it is. This is a representation of electromagnetism. These are the same things. And this little graphic, this little grid behind here is this torus. Okay, That's the first thing. Go ahead, comments, questions. Go ahead, Joe.
No, so like the wave propagation model that it's showing, that's the up and down.
Yes.
Like, okay,
And the side to side too, right?
that's right. Yeah, yes, it's the side. That's what I meant. It's the
Yeah, but see, the
so-
up and down is actually a
It's
sphere.
oscillation. No, so
Yeah.
what Joe was getting at is that the propagation is a vector. It goes in a direction.
Right. That's the good one.
Oscillation is that sphere of influence that's happening as the vector travels through.
Right. Cool. So here's the pointing. There's the pointing thing. We talked about that in terms of electricity last time, right? It's moving in a direction. Out and up and down. I've got another one but I want to show this. So this is the electromagnetic spectrum. And the problem is that for centuries, human beings, at least at one level, although some would argue that many human beings aren't limited to this, we have our visible spectrum, which is less than 1% of the entire universe. And if our eyes focused on different frequencies, we would see the universe completely differently. Because this is electromagnetic energy. And yet this is all we see. And when we take those, the Hubble takes telescopes, they take the gamma rays and the cosmic rays and the infrared rays, and they scale them down to give us the beautiful pictures of nebulae. But we wouldn't see those nebulae if they didn't scale all that energy into this visible spectrum. They divide it to get it to look like this so we can see it. Otherwise, we couldn't even comprehend nebulae because they're not visible. Most of the light is not visible. Comments, questions? So I hope, Manu, that I supported you in making that point. Okay, are we ready to read?
sure.
We can
Which
start. We can
number
start
would you
right
like?
there, and we'll hit the first number. Start
Uh,
right up here.
1056.20 cosmic hierarchy of comprehensively embracing and permeating generalizations of generalizations equals GGN. Continued humanity, 25, humanity. Individuals as a miniature universes, each a consequence of unique way of playing the game universe.
Comments and questions.
Yeah,
So-
well, it's specifically in this, we're kind of beyond biosphere. So we really are talking about Q beings. And yeah, I can't help it. I keep going back to my colorectal surgeon who talked about the center of each person's individual universe.
Yeah. Say more. I mean, that's really what Bucky's saying here. Individuals as miniature universes. Wow. So does that mean cosmic integrity has something to do with me?
Absolutely.
Roffers, welcome.
Yeah, actually, in fact, you think about it, when we talk about our brain and the connections, everything, we have more connections in our brain than stars in the universe.
Wow.
So that's another dimension of us as universe. And that's just our brain. Now you get the mind and all the cells and all the bacteria that lives within us. And I mean, that's a universe. And again, we talk about what we perceive with our senses. What we have done is developed artifacts to increase the potential of our senses, but we still perceive through the senses that we are born with. We just expand by using telescopes or microscopes, science, research, etc. But we're still using our senses. So in that sense, we are also in touch with the universe through our universe. And that's the way I see it.
Right on.
I think back to, the days in Sunday school and just this idea that, moving through your average day, you would see each person as Christ. And this is more generalizable to say that they're each a universe. And
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
interesting.
day is different. The whole day is different when you have that sort of a mind frame. I'm not saying mindset, mind frame going out and go to meet the people in that space of heart.
Right. You might think I'm totally crazy, but then when you realize I'm a whole universe, I don't surprise you at all, right?
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
just as alien as can be, right? I'm my own freaking universe.
Yeah.
And
Not
we
in
do have
terms-
things in common, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Roffers.
In terms of mind, actually, a better word for mind frame is mind space, I think.
Mhm.
Because when we talk about frame, we tend to think about it, like a square. Whereas you use space, you get a whole concept of boundary and what happens within. So again, that's from Kelly actually as a word. So and I find it much better than talking about mindset,
Yes.
which again is absolutely utterly ridiculous. There's no mindset.
Yeah.
Our mind effectively never sets.
When you were referring to that square, were you talking about this symbol right here?
No.
Well,
I mean,
I
the word-
was thinking that's why I said a frame.
Yeah.
The frame, huh? But there's
frame
holes
is-
and everything in it. It's not solid lines. There's holes all the way through here. So it's obviously permeating.
Those
And again,
boundaries.
and you have lines, boundaries, and you have spheres in there as well. I mean,
Right.
Bucky's way of thinking.
And how much of this do I have going on? Looks to me like I got a lot of this stuff going on. And that's what these little holes in here represented, these axes and ins and outs and betweens and arounds. Any other comments or questions here?
And again, you have several eyes in there as well, several me's connecting as well. We talk about humanity.
Well, we're gonna
If
get
you look
that.
at the original system when you talk about me.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about building those out in a minute here
Yeah, exactly.
or later on. We might not get there because we've got to go through a bunch of
We should see.
Yeah, each a consequence of unique way of playing the game of universe.
Yeah.
My miniature universe is a consequence of the unique way that I play the game universe.
Yeah.
How are you playing the game universe?
Not
Am
very
I-
well, perhaps.
I was thinking about that actually.
Yeah.
What is even meant by that?
Yeah. What comes up for you, Joe?
God playing dice.
Yeah.
That's what essentially comes up for me. when I
You
think
you
about it.
just pissed off Einstein.
Yeah,
know?
no, yeah, yes, that's exactly right.
You know,
It's quantum physics. Yeah.
yeah,
No,
go ahead.
No, effectively, when we think about each of us as universes and everything else, and who we are, and we talk about design. My design is no different from Susan's or Einstein's. You see, design is the same. I mean, what we do with this design is what's different and unique. And again, if we talk about this group, each of us gets a lot from each of the people involved's perspective. But if I don't acknowledge that, and I think, I don't know, I mean, you're different because you were born in a different country, or you have a different culture, or you happen to be Russian, and Russians are not very popular at the moment. I mean, this way of looking at reality and what happens, to me, is a matter of, again, responsibility. How do I choose to play the game? How do I relate to other people? Or I remember closing calls and finishing always saying, let's go and make a difference. I think we're all here to make a difference. And we can all make a difference. But the thing is, most people have been trained or conditioned not to think that they can make a difference. Politicians can, or people with power can. But I'm hopeless or helpless in this universe, which is not the case anyway. Anyway, that's my take on that.
Yeah, beautiful. Comments, questions? I was surprised over the last little bit. And I'm wondering, many people may not know about that Einstein quote, but Einstein actually said, as I have said so many times, God doesn't play dice with the world or with the universe.
That's right.
And so that's an actual quote. That's why I said you pissed off Einstein,
That's right. No, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of. The
Yeah,
other
you
thing,
did.
the other thing is, I was thinking about Pascal's wager. But that's
And
another
what
point.
about Pascal's wager, Joe? Please explain that.
Before that, a comment on this Einstein.
Okay.
Einstein's here in natural fact is saying that God plays by cosmic integrity.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's going up against Feynman and the other guy,
Bohr.
who we're talking about how things are random and you can't predict.
Niels Bohr.
Niels Bohr, yeah.
Niels Bohr, right. The principle of uncertainty. And Einstein just didn't like that. And I think Schrodinger was on the same side with Einstein. And Schrodinger, in fact, invented his cat story in order to convince people how stupid it was. You can't have a cat that's both dead and alive. And he created that story. And then Feynman and the other guys, Bohr, came up with, well, there's this cat and it's either dead or alive. And you don't know till you look at it. And Schrodinger brought that up to show how ludicrous it was. So you had Einstein and Schrodinger over here, and you had Bohr and Feynman over there. And that is left for us to ponder. Okay. Any other comments or questions on 25? I want to say that I used to do a workshop where it was a self-awareness workshop, and we had what we called the intention walk. And the instructions were that we'd have everybody get against the wall on one side, like kitty corner in a big room. And we'd give the instructions that they were to walk from one corner, kitty corner, to the other corner. And that the assignment was to walk with a subtly different mechanism. And the staff was set up to watch on either side. And they were told if they copied somebody going on that walk, if they repeated the mechanism, they'd be told to go back and do it again. Oh my gosh, the performance anxiety was just overwhelming in the room. And we would start out and everybody was watching everybody to make sure that some people were somersaulting into the room, some were cartwheeling, some people were walking, waving their hands. And the instruction was subtly different mechanism. And they'd walk from one end and then they'd all be there. And then we'd say, okay, walk back again. And everybody's going, oh my gosh, we're running out of possibilities. And then about the third time, I'd have everybody turn against the wall so nobody could see anybody. And I'd have each person go across on their own and walk through with a subtly different mechanism and they couldn't watch anymore. And the end result was everybody naturally, by doing their own thing, had their own subtly different mechanism. There was nothing that had to be thought out. All they had to do was just be them, because everybody, in fact, it'd be really difficult for the same human being to walk from one corner of the room to the other corner of the room and do it exactly the same way. So it's kind of like everybody's a snowflake. And that was kind of the intention. Each of us have our own universe. Why are we so trying to make it like somebody else's, Where's our cosmic integrity? Anyway, that was mean for me. Any other comments or questions before we proceed? We're about to leave miniature universes behind. There it is, a miniature universe. And this is humanity. Individuals as miniature universes. Wow. Okay. Any comments or questions? What's coming up for you? Anything? Okay. Go ahead, Joe.
Philosophy, ideologies, religions, associations.
Cosmic hierarchy. Yeah. Let's discuss that for a while.
So so it's not a complete boundary any longer, looking at the symbols.
Yeah, something, there's a corner left off here, huh?
And part of, when we look at it was definitely this group that made me appreciate this, that having a boundary is so necessary because you need to be able to push against something to create leverage. And so I think that that's possibly something that we get here. There's this part in philosophy that it's just the thought. It's so that maybe it's not always leverage. Maybe in a personal experience, it's meant to not be leveraged.
Yeah, maybe if I have a philosophy, an ideology, a religion, or an association, I'm no longer a whole universe. Maybe I'm leaving something out as soon as I adopt a philosophy,
An ideology.
an ideology.
And for sure, a religion.
And for
Yeah,
sure,
yeah, exactly.
right. I stop being me, my unique me, and I start trying to model myself after something outside of me. And as soon as I do that, I leave off this upper left-hand corner, whatever that means.
It's funny. I was thinking of that as chaos.
Yeah, I'm no longer whole. I'm no longer complete. I'm no longer safe. I don't know who I am anymore. Because I just bought into this philosophy, to this religion. I'm now a member of the National Realtors of Association of America. So get out of my way. I'm cool.
Yeah.
Interesting, huh? Any other comments or questions? What could that mean? This has been so thought-provoking for me. I've been waiting for 3 weeks to get to this. Any other comments or questions? Mano keeps putting some thoughts over in the chat.
Some very good thoughts.
Manu, why don't you make that point, Manu? This is a good point about lag.
I was just saying that thinking lags events and happenings. Because thinking always comes several degrees after events have happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
But thinking has the potential to shape events and happenings.
Yeah. Sometimes one thing I've learned on these calls is that their lag is good. And
yeah, but it also applies to that. We have to have time to learn,
yes.
Mm-hmm.
to educate,
To play.
and then apply.
Yeah. And in fact, there's always lag.
Yes.
Comments, questions?
And it lag actually relates nicely to Bucky's description of us as betweeners. We're always in between.
Because if philosophy were closed, philosophy would be dead.
Yeah.
There won't be any philosophy. If the symbol was a closed symbol, like humanity, closed, it would be dead.
To me, it's like this is left off, so there's a flat tire. I have a hole in my tire. Here I'm a tire. I'm on a roll. Life is really cool, and I just punctured a hole in my tire, and now I've got a flat tire because I'm all engrossed in some philosophy.
No, I think I will interpret. I wouldn't say no, Steve. Sorry, I'm just saying I will interpret that as educated guess.
Yeah.
And that education can be sometimes false,
Right.
but there was education.
Right.
Ideologies manifest as some experiences and the generalization of those experiences. Now, was that experience, did we interpret the experience correctly in a way that is in sync, yes, with the principles. That's why the problem usually it looks like it can explain our situation, it can guide us. But after a while, it's no more. And it just become enforced. And that's why, you know, that opening there means there's exchange, it evolves, exists, and then, I don't know, just I'm just throwing this in.
Right.
Actually, to me, philosophy is about the search that we all have to understand who we are and what we're doing here in the universe. So it's incomplete because we are just trying to understand how we fit. And that's why you have ideologies, religions, associations, what we relate to. And again, I guess we are, again, Bucky is all about philosophy. I mean, Bucky was also a philosopher, but again, a philosophy that's still not fully understood or apprehended or comprehended even. So we could say that as well. In
Right.
fact, ideologies, religions, associations so far have tended to divide us rather than bringing us together.
Exactly.
Right.
So that's the other challenge that I think.
And I would say, because it's always good not to have Manu get his way every time. I would say that Manu, I love you, but I would say that many times philosophies result from an experience.
Right.
I have this experience and I think, oh, this is wonderful. And I create a philosophy and I start waving a flag and then I invite everybody to join me, right? And I think it's been good. I've been religious, very, very religious, I would say, for a decade or two or three in my life. And I learned a lot from that. But I also learned that many religions are not inclusive. They are not permeatingly embracing, you know?
They're exclusive.
They seem to be exclusive. And so to the degree that an ideology or a religion or association becomes exclusive, it's no longer whole. Maybe, right?
Steve, I think you just hit on something important. And an ideology is not necessarily something that's external. When I look at trying to organize my own thoughts, there's going to be themes that set up a structure and ideology within myself. And like you said, it could be an experience that I've had that kind of brings me to that. So I think an ideology, certainly, we oftentimes think of them as being external. A philosophy is coming from a philosopher. And yet I think it's a function of how we relate and interrelate our own thoughts in our own minds.
Mm-hmm. Further comments, further questions? See, if you guys don't talk, then I have bubbles going on inside of me. So we talk about lag.
What?
Oh, go ahead, Joe.
No, I was just gonna say what Nanu put in the chat is really important, is right.
He put a definition of theory. Do you want to read it, Joe?
Yeah, theory or attitude that acts as a guiding principle for behavior. And he's talking about philosophy. Number two is the study of fundamental nature or of knowledge, reality, and existence.
Yeah. And when Bucky drew a symbol for that, he took the universe, the symbol for the whole universe, and left off a corner. Invitation of, like, I think, possibly a flat tire, possibly a way to include more.
What was that?
Sorry, Trey was typing.
Okay. The cat has input.
I thought
Our cat has a little feedback or input here, and some of you will not see this. So I'm going to go ahead and capture this and I'm going to share it. This is what the cat has to say about this topic.
it'd
So
be interesting
obviously,
if they decoded to something profound.
Well,
Absolutely likely.
yeah. So the cat is trying to tell us something, right? So anyway,
I say we put it up against Bucky's drawings.
That's
all
right.
additive.
Absolutely.
He usually just orders things off Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah. So you get these weekly shipments and you're not sure exactly what it is till you check and see the signature plus, right?
Right.
Okay, good. All right, cool. Our next one, Joe.
Nations. That's an interesting one.
Yeah. What's so peculiar about nations? How does it relate to philosophy?
Well,
Yeah.
it's interesting. The other side is just open. Like,
Right.
so it's kind of
Well,
the same problem, right?
right. Except we're going to get a clue as to what's left out here on our next thing. Go ahead and read 22.
Others. Yeah. So now that makes sense. Essentially, nations are exclusive,
Right.
right? So they kind of create a certain amount of othering.
Right. Nationalism is about creating
Othering,
otherness. Yeah.
as
So we-
opposed to globalization, like looking at the
Right.
planet as a whole, or understanding the whole, or the universe for that matter.
Right. So now, interestingly, to build the symbol for nations, Bucky leaves off others. What did Bucky leave off in order to create philosophy? Shall we jump
They.
ahead? Yes. He left off they. Let's
How
conquer
are-
that. Huh?
How are others different from they?
Yeah. How
Um,
is others
Others,
different from they?
others is almost neutral. They is exclusive. When I say me, they is I've started thinking. It goes back to the philosophy. There is my experience. I don't agree with I don't agree with my experience, with the way I see things around me. And I start pondering on it. It becomes, I seek another explanation.
Cool.
So that is the they excluded, coming to philosophy.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to nations, this is biased now. It becomes the followers. It's not everybody with David Koresh that had his vision.
Mm.
But people followed him. You see?
People followed who?
David
David
Koresh.
Koresh or Dave Koresh. You remember, I think it was in
Texas.
1990.
1998,
Yeah, something like that.
something like that. It was, the
That was Waco, Texas,
Waco,
that's
yes.
right.
before Joanna Gaines got there.
Yeah. David has his vision. He had his philosophy. And then there were people that sit, they're in there, what they call it, they are. And then they change because they are convinced. It's not that they thought about it, they've said it, they made a comment, that seemed what it is to me. Therefore, I follow that guy.
Yeah. Comments, questions? I want to talk about they and others. If I say they're over there, and if I say others are over there, what does that connote for you? They are over there, others are over there. To me, theyness is much more personal. I think, like Manu said, there's we and they. There's you and me. Then there's others, right? Others tend to be, I think there's more separation in otherness than there is in theyness.
I don't know. I think it's the macro.
Go ahead, Joe, explain.
So I think the others, so it's us and others. And that's kind of a macro approach to they. And what did you say? I'm sorry, forgive me. You
I
said
don't know.
they and
I thought they was more personal and more specific.
right. So that's micro.
Okay, cool.
And then I just see us and others. And that's where I see the difference between a nation and an individual.
So put that all together and say that again. Then how do you see individualness, theyness, and whatever? Say it all in.
Well, so others, like I look at it as us and others. And I look at that as saying a nation. Right. And then I see they, and I forget what you used. What was the opposite?
They and others. I said they are over there, and I said others are over there. Go ahead.
Okay, so you said they are over there. And I would say I'm here and they are over there. Or no, maybe not. I'm
I
trying
think
to
it's
think that
we versus they.
we versus they. Thank you. Thank you. We are over here and they are over there.
Well, how about we versus others and they versus others?
We versus others.
I don't know. I mean, to me, this is exactly what Bucky's inviting us to do, is to ponder this whole thing. Right?
You see, we have us, and we have others, and we have we, and we have they.
Yeah, but there's no us in Bucky's chart.
No, but
Oh.
again, that's me making a connection.
Yeah, me
Us.
too.
Us is the objective form of we.
Yes.
And studying linguistics, syntax.
Yeah.
Give them to us. We don't say give them to we. We say we are getting them from you. You are giving them to us. So we and us is more personal. One is nominative and one is objective.
Mm.
If one studies transformational grammar and syntax.
Yeah, use English, use Spanish. There's no word for us.
Isn't
It's the
there?
same as we.
Very interesting. You don't have an objective form. In Latin,
No.
there was objective. There was an objective, and there was an ablative as well,
Oh dear
which
heavens.
which is interesting. That was one of my minors. Well, my 5 minors at the university was transformational grammar.
Exactly.
and
You did
syntax.
a bit of linguistics with Chomsky. That's good.
Yeah.
Let
And I
me,
was
let me
taking-
share this,
Go ahead.
share this example.
Okay.
I come to you, Steve, with my bow. You have a granary. Yeah? Your granary is full, mine is empty. I say, Steve, I'm hungry. Can I borrow some of your grains? You give me a quantity.
Okay.
I say, please give me more. And you ask me why. I say, because there are others.
Yeah.
I can't say because they.
I could
Right?
say they.
Because there are they, no. There are others that are part of my we.
Okay, good.
You know, I have brothers and sisters, they are my we. When I say the we, I refer, that other is part of my we. It's not exclusive. But when I say they, there is a kind of exclusive differentiation between those I'm referring to and me or my group.
Yeah. Comments, questions? I'm over here building like, here's the symbol that Bucky used and here's what he's leaving off.
Mm.
Kind of building a comparison chart. The next number is we. I'm not letting Joe read. But what does Bucky leave off when he designs the symbol for we?
He leaves off they.
and
and
others.
others.
And others, yes.
The others.
Cool.
Any
And then our next symbol. In fact, what's interesting, and I found this to be true for the last 3 weeks, I've been going from, he starts at 38 and goes to 1. And I've been reading through that, getting prepared for this, and suddenly I started reading backwards, going from 1 to 38, and lights started going on. Because these are inclusions, right? So everybody sees the we are these two little symbols,
Yes.
and we is comprised of what?
Me and you.
Yeah, it's comprised of me.
And you have we.
And you.
Yes.
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 But what is another character of that, or what it shows as character for the we, is that we are cooperating. We are looking in the face.
Oh, I
We
like.
are, yes. So I disclose to you, you disclose to me.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that you is somebody I relate to. Yes.
And notice the
Absolutely.
symmetry of it, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like eyeball to eyeball and toe to toe, right?
Mm.
There's something orthogonal about we. Orthogonal at right angles. If I put my arm to the square and I say, I promise, isn't that what people do when they put their arm to the square? They're like being their word, or like giving an oath or an affirmation, right?
Yeah, oath, I promise.
Yes.
And that's exactly what we see going on here. There's a right angleness, eyeball to eyeball, toe to toe, we-ness. There's an interrelationship that seems to be symmetrical
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
and oppositional simultaneously. Comments, questions? Okay, so we includes you and
me.
me.
Yes.
Now, I could have probably left this out because all this was the top of a page. So I think I will. I'll leave out that heading. And that'll be more accurate. So it goes right down. There's no heading. I think that's the way to do it. And then
Yeah.
here is me. Now let's go backwards from 18 to 25, shall we?
Sure.
Me, they, me, you. Me plus you is we. So far, there is no me, they, except in humanity and except in nations. Right?
Okay, yes.
Go ahead.
Something really interesting that just struck me now, right?
Okay.
We say gravity is multiplication and radiation is division.
Right.
Right? Now I start with the intuitive me. The intuitive me, the first thing that I did, I divide all of that thing that's into two. This is my intuitive me, and there's they, the others. Right? So that is the first division. If you're starting now from 18 to 19.
Starting from 18 to 19.
Yes. Is the first, the process of learning is to divide, identify, and divide further, and relate to what is a whole. So
Right.
my universe was first divided between me and they. So 18 and 19. Me, and that is intuitive. It's from what you call experience. Intuitively, is me and they, and anything else that is not, that I intuit as not me. Right? Now that I've intuited me for where I am and the day, I divide the day again with something that is more precise. I see that in that day, there are things when I divide that looks like me. Intuitive.
Yeah.
So that's why the we is in the hierarchy higher than the day. You get what I'm trying to say here?
I think so.
Okay. And then, so after the me, they, you,
Right. Yeah.
we, there's
Yeah.
still others.
Yeah. But here,
There are still others. We know there are still others. There's still a reservoir there. And that is veritas progressive. That is our process now
That
from
makes
our
sense.
micro getting into generalizing.
okay. So as we're building humanity, we start with me, and then we identify, oh, there's they over there.
Right.
And then of they are you. So
Yeah.
now we have me, they, and you. And all we're looking for now is others. And we now have created humanity.
Yeah.
Starts with me, goes to they, identify you out of they, and then there's the others that I haven't yet identified. I don't know, right? A thought process. This blew my mind when I started
This is a
going
way
backwards.
of becoming self-aware, I guess. I don't know.
Oh,
Yes, but when we think about the duality, the duality of me is you.
yeah, there is a duality in me and you. And so you could say that we build the symbol by going horizontally across, and there's me and you, and then we find out there's other people,
Yeah.
or there's they. And then we identify theys, and then there's all those we can't identify, so we just call them others.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
But
thinking along with you guys.
what I see there is a process,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Either you could be a guy from outer space, let's just say outer space, and parachute onto the earth. So you are going through the biosphere and all these things. You are going to the ionosphere, whatever, and then the biosphere, you are landing here. So we see you. But we are because we are part and parcel of it. And we are equipped with a software and operating system that allows us to remember how we came to be. And that process is the division. Our tool is divide. Divide between what you intuitively know, let's put it that way, and what you don't know. That's the first thing. So I intuit me, myself. And then I see that once I intuit me, there's something else outside of me. I have divided. And that thing outside of me, in it, there is, if I'm male macho, there is Eve. There is Eve there. So I recognize Eve as my partner in the we. But notice that the we was before the me.
yeah.
I discovered the we after, but the we was before the me. That's why we say things were already there.
Well, remember that double torus is going up and down simultaneously.
Yes.
It's
Things
going
were
out
there.
and in simultaneously.
Exactly.
So I don't know which one comes first.
No,
There is-
it was there before.
Yeah,
That's what, if you look, I put Euler's identity,
Yes.
which Bucky consider, the way Bucky put it is that there is a duality primordial duality. And that duality is that there's a concave and the convex. The concave and the convex, the tetrahedron, that gives you -1. It gives you gravity. It holds something. It is a constant in the world. But let's not go there. But in that hierarchy,
You can't bring that up and say, don't go there. You can't do
well,
it.
that's what we saw. That is this. That's again this.
Yeah.
It results in a star. It doesn't result in something that goes away. This is a constant. The constant of a world is a star.
Okay.
The concave that I hold, and the convex that come across.
Okay.
The sine and the cosine.
Cool. But
The
when
electro and the magnetic.
cool.
They always coexist. And they coexist in a way that is gravitational. That is -1.
At 720 degrees, -1 tetrahedron.
Yes.
Yeah. I can say those words. I'm not sure what it means. But as soon as you bring up,
But I'm not inventing. This is Bucky saying. You know, I'm just parroting what he says.
yeah. And I'm going to parrot what he says right here too, because as soon as you bring up concave and convex, we have to go to those, what Joe brought up a couple of weeks ago, just intuitively having a sense of it. We have to bring up the circles of irrelevancy, not the circles of relevancy, but the circles of irrelevancy, which is so backwards for me. It's just like, and look at, here's concave and convex right here. And this, I've been pondering this for months since we did this. And just in the last couple of weeks, I've gotten something here. I'm in between. This is conceptually, and he made a pun here, I think, definite, definite, conceptually definite. This is tunably synchronous, approximate simultaneity. I think that's what that says. Let me see if I can get down there a little bit closer. Let's make it even more. Come on, give it to me. There we go. Tunably synchronous.
Tunably synchronous. I can't even. I gotta be honest.
I think it says approximate.
Yes.
Simultaneity.
Simultaneity, yes.
And I'm standing in here.
That's really good. That's good.
I'm standing in here. When I look out, I see concave. When I look in, I see convex. Micro is convex, macro is concave. I don't know. Mono, you brought up concave, convex, and you show the star tetrahedron. To me, this means these circles really help me with the convexity and the concavity of the double tetrahedron. Because this is that same squishy, this. This is this.
Yes.
Woo! Blows my mind.
You know, the we is only we in the context of a relation.
Or an interrelation, right?
Yes.
And in this diagram, it presumes orthogonal, right angles. One, there's me, there's you. Two universes. Eye to eye, toe to toe, orthogonal. I don't think
Notice
that's an
this.
accident. What's that? Go ahead.
Notice this, is that we are here describing the ways the me plays or relate and interrelate.
Oh my goodness, you guys.
Inside, out.
Yeah.
In relationship that feel, nature played outside in.
Yeah.
The cosmic integrity is outside in. It manifests in.
Right.
We leave out. We leave out.
Yeah. The twilight zone of almost relevant is outside of our conceptually definite.
Yeah, and that's where I live.
Yeah. And then further into the convexity, this is the twilight zone of almost relevance as well. We have a twilight zone of almost relevant here and a twilight zone of almost relevant there. And here we have conceptually definite. This is the universe. I can prove it. This is almost relevant. Oh, I'm not quite getting there. And this is the seventh direction, by the way, in Native American spirituality. It is the center of the universe. It is what Nassim Haramein would say is in the heart of every proton, is a black hole. That's it. That's the black hole right there. This is non-conceptual finite withinness. It's finite, but it's non-conceptual. I don't know. I love Bucky.
So there's non-conceptual, I don't know.
Go ahead.
So there's non-conceptual and conceptual, and in between that is the twilight zone, and outside of that.
So one of those twilight zones is a micro, and the other twilight zone is a macro.
That
Absolutely
makes,
correct.
That makes sense.
And
So-
in the
Listen to
seventh
this.
direct-
Listen to this.
Okay.
That 7 direction is what you call the imaginary number in mathematics.
Teach me. What does that mean?
Okay. Euler says, this is the way Euler formulated it. Exponential, imaginary, times pi, the
Okay.
constant that we know,
Yeah.
plus 1 equals 0. It means that this 7 direction is it cuts across perpendicularly. You see, is your double torus.
Absolutely.
So this direction is not on the same plane. It is.
You're so
It
right.
is the elimination, the 720-degree elimination
Yes.
that we always have in order to manifest
Okay.
in a certain dimension.
I'm going to say the same thing you just said, because I've been pondering that very concept because of Nassim Haramein. Nassim Haramein is this physicist who says that there's a black hole in the center of every proton. So here's what I imagine. You take a bunch of tennis balls and you put them on a table tennis, or let's put ping pong balls on a ping pong table. Glue them together so they make a sheet. So now I can hold it up. It's a sheet of ping pong balls. You got it?
Mm-hmm.
In my sheet of ping pong ball. Now I take a saw and I cut them in half. And I take the other half and put it away. And now I hold up the concave side to you,
Right.
which is, by the way, concave because I'm looking in it. I'm inside looking in it. There's concave. But that, I just screwed it up. I cut it in half and all of those halves are connected to the same dimension. It's imaginary. It's the fourth dimension, maybe. It's the seventh direction, but it's in the center of every one of those ping pong balls. And it is non-conceptual and it is finite withinness.
Mm. And it tends to connect at a rate of 10 to the power of 40, which is, it's got to do it. It's a Schrodinger's number, and it's a number of connections that any point on the event horizon is going to have as basically wormhole connections.
What kind of connections?
Basically, from the event horizon of a wormhole,
Okay.
there will be 10 to the power of 40 connections to other wormholes.
Yeah.
Let
And
me put it, Susan, what you are saying, so beautiful.
thank you. You're good.
You remember the log and the exponential.
The what in the explanation?
The logarithm logarithm.
The logarithm, the log.
Yes,
Got it, yes.
operator and the exponential operator.
Mhm.
You know that exponential of log of something is that thing.
Yes.
Exponential log of 1 is 1.
Okay.
Okay, now, Susan, exponential and 10 to the power is the same, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Exponential and 10 to, and the power of 10 are the same.
Yeah,
That's-
characteristically the same. You know, it's 10 to the power, you know, in our word,
Yeah.
when we count 1 to 10, we say
Yeah.
10 to the power 1, 10 to the power 2, 10 to the power
exactly.
3. That is an exponential. It's a
Yeah.
particular exponential.
Yeah.
There's a constant relationship
Yeah.
between the two.
And it's exponential. It's not arithmetic.
No, it's exponential. 10 to the power 1. That's
Yeah.
one when you have a logarithmic scale, it
Right.
goes like this and then.
Right.
Now, Susan says 40. This is just a speculation.
Yeah.
From each of the corners of a tetrahedron, you have 10. From the 4 corners, you have 40. In other words,
Okay.
in a circular stuff, in a spherical, you just need 4 dimensions. I mean, we are 4 dimensions.
Yeah. How cool is that?
Do
And-
you see
Really
what I'm
cool.
saying there?
Yeah. Listen, if you take this tetrahedron, you have 4 dimensions represented in this tetrahedron.
Yes.
Because
And
most
each is exponential. Each is a sphere. Each of
Yeah.
its dimension is a sphere.
interrelating with the other sphere.
Yes.
So each of them are multiplying the other.
Yes.
Now, this is amazing. And I was talking about this with Joe the other day. The reason why this tetrahedron was so fascinating to me is because when I start building a picture of dimensions, I start with 1 and then I get 2 at right angles, orthogonal. Then I go for 3, and now I have a 3-dimensional reality.
Mhm.
And in order to have a 4th dimension, it has to be orthogonal or at right angles to all 3 of these. And I can't do that. So what do I do? What did Bucky do, that clever guy?
Fold
He
in.
said he folds them from 90 degrees to 60 degrees. And as soon as you fold it from 90 degrees to 60 degrees, you end up with a freaking tetrahedron. And now I have, oh, I just did it backwards. I just created sulfuric acid. I did not create, I did not create my tetrahedron. Add freaking gummit. Hang on, here it comes. Okay, there we go. I just had an event, an anomaly at the event horizon. That's all it was. So this is a manifestation of 4 90-degree angles, but I can't comprehend it. So I put it in 60 degrees and voila, I now can see a 4-dimensional reality.
And what do you call folding, Steve?
I don't know. What do I call it? The 7th
It's
direction.
increasing the number of edges.
It is increasing the number of edges.
Yes, that's what folding means.
Okay, cool. Folding. Yeah, folding
Yeah.
means increasing the number of edges. Wow. I can hardly breathe right now. Anybody else have comments or questions? Susan, what does your cat have to say about this?
I don't know, he's pretty laid back now, but this is why it's, you know, we sometimes get hung up on the speed of light as being a limitation. And quite honestly, there's a lot of communication within the universe that is faster than the speed of light. And one
Absolutely.
way to explain that is these connections happening at the event horizon within every proton.
Right. They call it superposition. And because it's in superposition, even though it's clear apart, it's light years apart, and still you affect one and the other one's affected immediately because it's a superposition and it's not bound by the speed of light or by gravity.
It was
Okay, cool.
interesting. I listened to a Lex Friedman podcast with Grimes, who's the
Yes, the
the girl-
rock star, former partner of Elon Musk.
yeah,
Go
no, I
ahead.
just barely knew who she was, but her nickname, I guess, is C.
For the speed of light.
And well, for many things she
Yeah.
elaborated on, but she brought up the idea, which I thought was fascinating, that the speed of light is just the rendering speed of this current movie of our perception.
Oh, cool. It's the speed at which our reality renders itself.
Yeah.
Oh, how profound is that?
It was actually, I mean, it was hard to listen to some of her grammar,
Yeah.
but she actually had truly fascinating perspectives.
Yeah.
And she's all ready to be homo techno right now.
Yeah. She feels like she is homo techno because she lives on Instagram, and it's as much as her persona as her fingernails.
It was a truly interesting. Lex Friedman is a very interesting collection of folks on.
He is amazing. Yeah.
But what a cool nickname. I mean, come on. You got Baby X, she's C, maybe it's going to be Baby Y. I don't know. But
Very cool. Okay.
I think we would go for Euler's constant. I think that's where he's headed for his nickname.
Cool. Okay, so as we look at, I wanted to show you this. I'm so glad I thought of it. This is the electromagnetic spectrum, and it seems to be scaled here, right? Seems to be equal increments. But notice this.
Logarithmic.
This is 10 to the power of 2. Let me see. Am I reading it right? This is 10 to 0. This is 10 to 3. This is 10 to 6. This is 10 to 9. This is 10 to 12. And so these relationships are exponential. They look scaled in arithmetically scaled, but they're not arithmetic. They're exponential. These relationships are exponential.
That's the log scale.
Yeah, this is a log scale. And I had another one over here where I almost showed you, because this is a cool chart. I shared this with a group months ago, or maybe a couple years ago. It's somewhere around anyway. And this shows the different frequencies and how they're manifest and used, and how many hertz each of these frequencies are and how they manifest. And visible light is less than 1% of all of the known frequencies. And it's exaggerated here just so we can see it. But this is radio waves down here. And then it moves up through microwaves and telephones and sun waves. And then it goes into radioactive stuff and stuff from there. Anyway, just thought I'd share about this relationship. Okay. Any final thoughts or questions? And, it was a big mind-blowing thing for me to think down it and then to start thinking back up it, and how these things interrelate depending on whether I'm going in or out. Any other comments or questions? Next week, we're going to be doing the 18 me's. That'll be fun. Any other comments or questions on generalizations of generalization? All embracing and all permeating. I put the all in front of it because I think it's kind of cool. Okay. No other thoughts or questions? Okay. Nelson, how are you feeling, and what is your takeaway this evening? Got under your mic.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. I'm tired. And my takeaway is nothing in the universe is random. In the universe, have an order. An order in the universe. Okay. Yes. Natural laws. Laws. It's the order in an invariable way that's happened in certain things under a certain set of circumstances. Okay, it's I think, okay, that I think, and I take away. Thank you.
Cool.
Joseph, what do you feel and what do you take away?
I feel good. Feel good to be here with everybody this evening. I'm still thinking about the graphic that Steve shared overall, but universes and mini universes are probably the most important thing that I'm taking away from this evening, and kind of understanding that better by looking at each of us as a universe is actually it's a profound thing if you actually think about it, and then you kind of think about our relationships and our interactions within that context. But the overall graphic itself, just to maybe walk through that logically, you know, I started to do that with the us and other, or we and they, and I need to walk through that graphic by myself and just play around with it a little bit. So I always appreciate when the circles of relevancy come up. So that's one of my favorite things as well. So that's my takeaway. It was a good evening, and thank you. It's good to see everybody. Susan, my friend, how do you feel? What are you taking away?
I feel good to be connected with all of you and very grateful for that opportunity. I also kind of feel like the circles of irrelevancy were a great overlay to what we're doing and kind of putting it all together. I do tend to try, and I get so micro, so I get fascinated with micro, and I go to my light zone of micro irrelevant really often. And one of the reasons I come to hang with this group is because you drive my perspective to more macro, and very good at trying to show some application. Raffers, how are you feeling? What are you taking away?
Thank you, Susan. I feel great, actually. Great call today. I mean, my takeaway is, again, a deeper understanding of Bucky's hierarchy in terms of, you know, universe. In fact, we're all universes within universe. And not this hierarchy of me, you know, me, you. Well, I look forward also to all the levels of me next call, and understanding how we all come together. And again, we go from my universe into other universes and how we all relate, and that, again, there's plenty to apply there to understand that you, they, and others, we're all together and relating to each other and making connections, and how we all get a deeper understanding. I also like the idea of, again, that we revisited, you know, relevancy and irrelevancies, and again, how Bucky nicely put it together in terms of micro, macro, and convex and convex again, and how everything is connected. So Bucky thinking is becoming clearer, even though still complex. So grateful for that. So Manu, how about you? How do you feel, and what's your takeaway?
I really feel grateful. I mean, today was, to me, it was a brilliant call. We had a brilliant conversation, and also something quite close. And there were a lot of things that pop out to me, which are not in the place of the usual. In that, in terms of relationship and from my intuited me, do you notice that you is more general than the day? Okay, so that was quite revealing to me. And it's logical from the point of view of a process, in that when I'm thinking out, I'm divided. And I go progressively, my brains can hold two. The intuit me and they or others. And then from those others, I'll go and sieve again more precisely to find a you with whom I want to relate now in this specific circumstance. And in that process, That is my learning process. I might be wrong, I don't know yet. It's only repetition and time that will tell. So what I take from that is the danger of being always ideological. It is good to be ideological at times because your intuition is so strong. And then the identifiers to your local conditions are so strong. But be always open to the possibility, that window up there, that path, you might have to reconsider it. And that is my biggest takeaway in terms of my application, is to try as much as possible. And then we talk about being equanimous, you know, being open, being equanimous. How can I be? And for how long, I don't know, but I try to be equanimous. And the practical of equanimity always is the ability to listen. I'm very weak at that. So what can I do practically to suppress myself from thinking about something else and listening to the partner in the we, the one that is. So, and it also comes towards something that, I don't know if Susan or Steve, that's it, learning to step aside, right? Because we always lagging. So how to play powerfully that lag, step aside, let the lag be and flow and learn from it, because we have the capacity to observe and to remember or retrieve. That's the most powerful that I take away from this. Otherwise, I'm grateful for the frankness and the richness and all the exchanges. And I wish all others who were not in here today, really to the mothers, really happy and spoiled Mother Day. Let them be spoiled, not spoiled Mother Day, let them be spoiled.
Yes.
Right? And let the man learn to be a man. In the convex concave, that duality, that is so fundamental for our being. That's what I take away. Otherwise, love. Steve, how do you feel? What do you take away?
I'm almost have tears in my eyes. What an exciting conversation. And I don't know who else I'd have this conversation with. You guys are amazing. I mean, to have these little stick figures with right angles and have this orthological relationship that compresses into 60 degrees and then squishes up and down like a freaking donut. And then I have all these connections that are 10 to the 40th power. I don't know. My brain is blown. I'm just so excited. I'm so excited that we got a chance to go down the ladder from whatever it was, from like 26 or 25 we started and went down to 18, but then we went back up again. And I think in that up and downness, in that in and outness, that's when I really start to understand. You know, I tend to say, well, here I am and I'm looking over there and I see that and I understand it. Oh no, there's this interrelation that's occurring and everything's in motion. And wow, am I glad to be here. It looks like Kelly will be able to be with us next week. What a privilege it is to be the servant here and be the guide. And I'm so glad you let me click all the buttons and get to show this graphic and that graphic. And I'm just really honored. You guys are special. So, okay. I'm complete. See you soon.
Yeah.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Hi, guys.
Take
All right.
care.
Yes, happy Mother's Day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.